From their summer production, The Secret Wells Behind These Walls. And this scene, they're talking about family history and the history of Adam Jackson. Okay.
Hey Grandma, guess what I learned today?
Well, hello to you too. Glad you had a good day at school.
Yeah, that was the first, but that's besides the point. Have you heard of Adam Jackson and Joshua Hempstead? They live right down the street in the Hempstead House, you know?
Have I heard of them? Of course I have. Mr. Smitey went. Get over here so I can tell y'all a story about the Hempstead House that y'all not gonna learn in school.
I don't get what's so interesting about the Hempstead House, besides Adam Jackson, because everything else is old news.
Well, sit down for some new news.
Granny, not another story, please.
I think you'll find this one interesting. Just listen to me. Sit down, Mr. Smarty. All of you gather around and take a seat. I have some great stories in this family history book. Imagine the setting, the time that Adam Jackson lived in, the late 1600s to the 1700s. Some of our ancestors arrived in the U.S. from the West Indies and were enslaved in Connecticut in the mid-17th century. One of our ancestors' name was Maria. All we know about Maria is that she was hearing impaired and mute and had a daughter named Joan. Joan married a man named John, who arrived in London on a West Indian slave ship.
Like the Amistad.
Yes, like the Amistad. Well, Joan and John had many children. One of their sons' names was Adam Jackson.
Adam Jackson.
The Adam Jackson who was a slave to Joshua Hempstead?
Are we related to him?
Yes, he is your great-great-great-great and a few more great-granduncle.
Wow, we have a famous relative.
There were 8 children in the Jackson family: Peter, Abner, Hannah, Adam, Jack, Ruth, Jeremiah, and Miriam. We are directly related to Miriam.
Is she our great-great-great and many more greats grandmother?
Yes, she and Adam grew up together in New London in the home of Samuel Fox. Their mother Joan was a slave to Beatrice Fox, Samuel Fox's daughter. If mother was a slave, their children became slaves too.
But I thought Adam was a slave to Joshua Hempstead.
He was. When he grew older, he was sold to Joshua Hempstead. Now, when Joan was freed, she was then able to live with her husband John. But both Adam and Miriam had to stay at the Foxes because they're still slaves.
And the family was separated?
Yes. Can you imagine the suffering Joan went through knowing she'll leave her babies behind as slaves?
That's awful.
Joan had a hard life. She was free for a time and had more babies who were born free, but then she was dragged back into slavery.
Why?
A man named Samuel Beebe claimed her as his inheritance. He was related to Badger Fox, her former owner. So she was taken to Long Island, New York, along with her son Jack, who was only 2 years old at the time, and Joan was 7 months pregnant with Ruth too. She had to leave her husband and children behind.
And the family was separated again?
Yes, but John, Joe's husband, did all he could and risked his life to keep his family together.
What did he do?
I'll have to tell you another time. I promised your father I'd make fried chicken for dinner.
Oh, come on, great-grandma, just a few more minutes.
All right then. John Jackson made his way across Long Island Sound and rescued Joan and Jack. You see, John Jackson was free because John Rogers, who once owned him, not only gave him his freedom, but helped to rescue Joan and Jack too.
So they were friends?
Could be, don't know for sure, but you can tell who someone is by his or her actions. And John Rogers risked his life in order to help John free Joan.
And the family was together then?
Not for long. Joan was captured by her owner and sold into slavery again along with her children. John Jackson and John Rogers were arrested. Several years later, she was sold away again to another owner in Massachusetts. Another split, even further away from her family.
Did she ever win her freedom?
As I said before, John Jackson did all he could to keep his family together. So he filed a lawsuit with John Rogers' help, who gave him the money needed to hire a lawyer.
Did he win?
He won. Joan was finally free.
Oh, Grandma, do you want to make a phone call to a friend? She needs help on her homework.
Bye.
See you, Brian.
And the family was together then?
Not everyone. Some of the children, like Adam and Miriam, were still slaves.
And that's when Adam became a slave to Joshua Hempstead.
Yes. Now I have to see about dinner.
I wonder what their lives were like, if they suffered as much as Joan.
I wonder too.
I am a slave. Set me free. Not beaten physically, but mentally. I hate that I can't reunite with my family.
My life, I do question. While me still in the sea of issues, my status, slave.
Even from afar, I love them no less. A slave is what I am, trapped in captivity.
I cannot have a status that comes with a free family, like the Hempsteads. Although it's been like this for some time now, my whole life. I'm fed up with the series of split-ups. Although the pain knocks you down, I still get up.
Physically in bondage, but mentally, I'm as free as a new butterfly, waiting to go experience the world for its own. Because right now, it's only a faraway dream. I dream of being able to walk freely as a woman and not being judged by the color of my skin.
I know I'm not the only one. I got better than some, but I'm still a lonely one. What's the point of slavery? I'm asked who I am in the cast of time and heal a broken limb. On the field, playing my part to the fullest of me. This is my life. To make sure things in the house and farm are in place. To follow orders, cleaning, planting, getting down on my knees. Still praying when I'm down on my knees.
A slave is what I am. I was sold on an auction block. I want to die out of bondage.
I'm torn. My clothes are torn. Won about this life battle.
A slave is what I am. Thinking about the day when I can say,
my family, the Jackson family. I need my family. Give me my family.
A free woman. A free woman is what I am.
Who has the right to break apart a family?
Who has the right to break apart a family?
I was a slave. I was never beaten or harmed by John Rogers, my former owner, but finally freed. I still wanted to work. I tried to free my wife and 2 children with Rogers' help, but my plan didn't go the way I wanted it to. We were to live well. Rogers and I were caught. My wife went up for sale. My kids, slaves again. It happened so quick. One blink of the eye. Slave masters of slave. Strong feelings projected, freedom neglected. I gained confidence, but then lost, separated from my family, feeling hurt, lonely, forgotten. But I will not give up. I'm living bold without a doubt. I will not give up until my family is reunited.
Who has the right to break apart a family?
Who has the right to break apart a family?
Who has the right to break apart a family?
We are a family, like a giant tree, branching out towards the sky. We are a family, we are so much more than just you and I. We are a family, like a giant tree,
Growing stronger, growing wiser.
we are growing free. We need you. We are a family.
Look at the library now. There's no padlocks on the library. You can learn anything you want to, anytime. So I want you to keep doing what you're doing. And just not only do the play just to be doing it. Understand what might have went on at the time. Okay? Awesome.
Awesome.
Thank you.
I just want to say I want to piece in your play because you fleshed out some of the more details about John and Adam and Joan and John Jackson's lives, and I think that is really, really important. That they had a family, they had a connection, and I love what you've done with it. It's amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's an amazing piece. For those of you who didn't see, they have DVDs. They have original dance. I mean, so they've given you one piece. That's why I wanted you all to have a sense of the broader piece, because it's just an incredibly compelling and exceedingly well produced and well thought out. I sat and cried, you all. I was just completely blown away by the poignancy and the quality of what you produced in a very short period of time. So
You guys are good.
Thank you.
Keep doing what you're doing. Keep moving forward.
And just remember this one last thing. You come from kings and queens, okay? It wasn't just, you're not just a slave. You're not just a children of slaves. You are kings and queens. That's where you come from, okay?
Representative Hewitt, you might just share with everyone what we talked about a little while ago with regard to the bill that you
Oh, yeah.
passed in the legislature last year, and what was behind that personally for you?
We did something in Hartford recently. Well, it was last year. We passed a resolution called Resolution 1. And this resolution was for Connecticut to apologize for its role in slavery. There's a lot of people that don't believe slavery ever happened here. Well, let me give you a little story about how it happened in Connecticut. When we first did the bill, there was a lot of people thought that we did it because we wanted reparations. There's no amount of money that there was, and I spoke about this on the floor of the House. It says, when slavery ended, they talk about giving each slave 40 acres and a mule. Mm-hmm. Well, I actually spoke and says that by now it would be 1 million acres and a Bentley. So we're not doing this for the money. We're doing it because there's some kind of closure there when Connecticut apologized for its role in slavery, because it did happen. A lot of people made a lot of money on slavery. Free labor, are you kidding me? Millions and billions of dollars. So we did this resolution. If you get a chance, I'll give you my business card, and you can go to my website and actually see the speech that I spoke on the floor of the House. And it was pretty touching. I mean, it was people crying in the room. You could hear a pin drop, because a lot of people didn't understand what happened. And those seats that we sit in are 150 to 200 years old. And when a bill was introduced in the House of Representatives in Hartford to end slavery in the state of Connecticut, in order to, you ever hear those stories, it's just a bill, it's only a bill, and it's sitting on Capitol Hill. Mm-hmm. That's how a bill is passed. In order to pass a bill, you have to have both houses pass it, and the governor has to sign it. But what happened here, back then when they tried to abolish slavery through a House resolution, the Senate didn't like the bill. Guess what the compromise was? Because you got to compromise sometime to get a bill passed. The compromise was the Senate says, you're born a slave, but you had to stay a slave for the first 25 years of your life, and then you're free. That was the compromise right here in the state of Connecticut. You can look it up. It's public information. So those people who said there wasn't slavery here, there was slavery. Those whales that got off of those ships, they didn't get off there by themselves. Okay? Good job.